Oh, you caught me. I was going to have a drink of water, but since you caught me, I won't drink it. Hey, welcome to the show tonight. Bill Boshear's here for next few minutes. Glad you could drop by. Interesting stuff tonight. A couple of weeks ago, we got some clips we couldn't show you. We'll get to those later about the moon fiasco and going to the moon. I think you'll find them quite interesting. To get things started tonight, for those of you who don't normally watch this show or you just happen to catch it, we talk about the conspiracies, the cover-ups, and the government faux-pas and foo-bars and everything else. Now, this is something that you're not going to believe this. Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants to put the windfall profit tax on all stock market profits, including retirement, 401ks, and mutual funds. Alas, it's true. All to help the 12 million illegal, if it's 12, it's short, but 12 million illegal immigrants and other employed minorities. I would like for somebody other than Nancy Pelosi, anybody in Congress or the Senate, to show me in the Constitution where it says you take money from this group of people and give it to that group of people purely because they're who they are. This woman, boy, we're in trouble. This woman is frightening. Now, I don't know where you Democrats dug her up, but you damn well better get rid of her, because this woman is insane. She's whacked out. She wants to take all of your gains and tax them and give them to the illegals. That's the long and the short of it. But I rest my case. You Democrats have got to do something, and you Republicans better fall in line. Tonight, in the second segment here, we're going to get to my buddy Andrew Gause because of your emails. One of the emails came out and said, and I here in front of me, Dear Bill, I appreciate the gentleman that you had on by the name of Andrew Gause. He mentioned some interesting areas about gold and silver. I'd like to know more about it, and here are my questions, and they gave me questions I'm going to ask Andy tonight. Stick around for that. It could affect you. I found myself this week, remember last week I told you about Bush giving him, I don't know if you saw it or not, but if you saw it, it's interesting. The House Democrats pushed the government's eavesdropping bill through two committees Wednesday of this past week with only minor changes, setting the stage for a confrontation with the Bush administration. Ooh, I'm scared. President Bush said he would not sign the bill if it does not give, you ready for this? Retroactive immunity to U.S. telecommunication companies that help conduct electronic surveillances without a court order. Do you suppose somebody made a donation there? Do you suppose somebody said, hey, Mr. President, you asked us to do this and we did it for you. I'm sorry, I didn't want to go to jail. Really? Maybe you ought not have done that illegally. Well, they came in here and strong-armed me. Isn't it about time we stop that? Isn't it about time that you said, enough is enough? Here we got one lady, Nancy Pelosi, who wants to give all of your money to the illegal aliens. We got a president who got himself a pardon before he ever leaves office. He pushed that, snuck that through, but he didn't get the Congress and the Senate a pardon. And now he wants this, and he said, I'm not going to sign this. I'm just not going to sign this until you do what I want you to. Vicente Fox, being interviewed, called him a windshield cowboy. And in his book, he was asked why he called him that. Basically, Vicente Fox said, you know, when we were down on my ranch, I saw him come over and I asked him to ride the horses with me. He got on, we walked toward the horses, and I noticed his hand was shaking. And he got to the horse, and I started to get on, and he said to me, the Secret Service, they won't let me ride. You know, security and that. He said, I got down, and I said, okay. So we look around my ranch. Now I'm going to Texas to see his ranch. He said he showed me his ranch in a truck. He drove around his ranch in a truck, a pickup, which he drives very well. I've said this for years. We've got a cowboy with a big hat and no cattle. All that Texas stuff, it's all for show. The ranch was bought for a photo op. It's a stage. Has nothing to do with reality, just like everything else he's done. Nothing to do, no substance, no content. Swagger, bully, that's what he's done. There is a couple of F-18 pilots out there. One of them is named Flash Gordon. And the other guy, I'll have to get his name in a few minutes. But I'll come back to that. I want to say kudos to them for those of you watching on board. They do a magnificent job flying F-18s. That's all I'm going to say. That's all that needs to be said. Anyway, you guys in the control room are going to get to me here in a minute, and they're going to say, we're going to take a pause in the action, and we're going to take this and take a break. Before we do that, let me tell you out there that if you don't get this picture tonight, you don't see this, tell your friends that they can go to Google and put in WBQC or the word Scizone, WBQC, and all of our shows are archived there. We're having some trouble getting them archived, but that'll clear up, and that's just technical stuff. But they'll be up there and running. Anyway, you folks, emails in here is bill@scizone.com. What happens, email says, thank you so much. I get a chance to watch you on Google. Didn't know there was anybody like you. I look forward to seeing you. I discovered you on Google. Where are you? I will continue to look. I understand Channel 38 is in Cincinnati. Good point. Now, my wife would like to know if you ever do psychic stuff on the air. Because I'm reading it, because you mentioned it, and we were wondering if you do. Yes, we do. From time to time, we do that kind of stuff, and we'll keep you abreast of it when we're going to do it. Tonight, we're doing a little bit of everything here tonight, and you're taking your phone calls later on. My guest, Andrew Goss, will be here shortly, and we're going to talk a little bit about gold and silver. Whatever you ask for, we try to get. This is about change. Some of the stuff is not necessarily change. It's happening so fast that people can't always keep up with it. And I'll give you a for instance. I went through today and found some of the stuff that is impressive, facts and figures. Did you know that the U.S. is 20th in the world in broadband internet penetration? Luxembourg just passed us. Which brings me to a point. We see there are people in this town who they have a monopoly on something called cable. And if you happen to buy, this is something no one has discussed publicly, that if you have a digital telephone hooked up to that cable, if it goes down, you won't have a telephone. That happened to me this week, although I didn't have that. I had a regular telephone. We'll take a pause in the action and come right back, and my guest, Andrew Goss, will be here. Stick around. We got more to do, and you're a part of it right here tonight in the Scizone. I'm Bill Bochier. We're on our way. Andrew? I'm Bilbo Shears. I'm back. And I think online with me, Andrew Gause. Are you there, sir? I lost Andy. Andrew, are you there? Well, let me get this thing up here. I think that hold on. Andy, are you there?
I am here.
There he is. See, I can figure this out. This is easy. This little technical shift there, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Andy, I got a lot of email last time you were here, people wanting to know more about it. By the way, my guest, Andrew Gause, is, Andy, you're an author, a lecturer, you teach, and you train people with their money. Is there anything you don't do?
Well, don't ask me anything about sports or what's on television because you'll have me at a loss.
You got me the same way, brother. Please don't ask me. Andy, I had an email in here, somebody who heard the show the other day when we did one about a month ago, and they said, could you have that guy back and let him answer some questions about gold and silver? The thing is, what should I buy and why? And he even goes on to point out how much money he has to buy with. He's got like $50,000, a nest egg that he has.
Right.
And apparently what he's afraid of, like everybody else is, Nancy Pelosi is trying to give all of their capital gains, 401ks and everything to all of the Mexicans that are here because they need help and they're poor.
Yes.
They're just so poor.
Well, and the funny part of it is, it's like whether you choose to give it to them or not, they're going to dilute the money supply and make sure that enough of it is spread around.
Andy, before I forget it, you had a book that we talked about, and people wanted to know about that. They just asked me, people are calling, wanted to know about it. It was about the Federal Reserve, the thin book, and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, my 1996 book was Secret World of Money.
The World of Money, thank you.
Yeah, The Secret World of Money.
The Secret World of Money, that's the name of it. Andy, if the people out there are afraid of the dollar's going in the tank, is the dollar going to recover at some point?
Well, this is the way, and we talked about this before, this is the way that they're going to balance the budget, if you will, on the backs of the 85 million baby boomers who've put aside a little bit of a nest egg, like your friend.
Yeah.
So by cutting the value of that 50,000 in half, by creating another 50,000, then they could pretty much level out the problems, the excesses that have been built into the system over the last 20 years.
So that means if you've got 50, or whatever you've got, whatever that number is, divide it in half so that we can give it to somebody else, or maybe it won't be worth that, or maybe we won't have the buying power of it. Are we looking at a recession type thing, or are we looking harder at it because we're not creating jobs the way as fast as we need? We've got to put 12 million people to work here, but we got to figure out how to do that. And the administration, I don't think, has figured out how to do that yet. They may. I mean, I'm talking about may. So I think that's why Nancy Pelosi's running around doing what she's doing.
Well, indeed. I think that...
and it's called I Want Your Vote.
Yeah, that's it. And I'll buy it if I have
to. I'll buy it. At the expense of all Americans.
Right. Well, buy it with your own money is the funny part, right? It's when they create money and then use it to buy your vote. This, to me, seems like the ultimate insult.
That makes perfect sense.
But that's exactly what is going on. If you're at that end of the machine where you're creating money, then there's no need to ever have anything like a recession or a depression. And in fact, Bill, those are the things that get people up off of their butt. You give them a good depression or a recession, and suddenly, boy, you could find people to do something.
They're ready to go to work.
Yeah, they're ready to march on Washington.
They'll start there this time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, so by keeping them happy, then you don't have to worry about them marching on you. And this is something that the politicians, believe it or not, they dread. You know, they fear the people. And when they see them in big masses, it really hits something in their bone marrow, you know. So they want to keep you at home sitting on your couch. And let's say that they wanted to crash the economy. And I've heard many of my colleagues say that that's the plan, right? They're going to crash the dollar. Well, if they wanted to crash the dollar, I guess about 4 weeks ago, they could have crashed the dollar, just like 9/11. When that one hedge fund went broke, all they had to do was not step in and bail them out. And by not doing so, they would have set off a chain of dominoes that would have ended on the doorstep of every single American as the shock waves were felt throughout the banking system.
I'm not so sure some shock waves didn't get started in that ripple.
Indeed they did, but, you know, Helicopter Ben was true to his name, and he rushed to the scene with a helicopter full of money and dumped it on the problem. And this, of course, will make it go away.
For how long?
Well, this is, you know, if we had a fixed supply of money, Bill, then you could count that time in months or maybe a year at the outside. But since the money supply is not fixed, my goodness, I mean, I think they can add another zero to everything. Slowly, obviously, but add another zero to the money supply. You know, from 1980, when there was only $1 trillion in circulation, to today, 27 years later, right?
Yeah, right.
And there is almost $12 trillion in circulation. The rise in prices has been slow and almost imperceptible. And we just wake up to $5 cups of coffee and $50,000 cars and $500,000 houses. When it was only 2.5 decades ago, when it was a 50-cent cup of coffee and a $10,000 car and maybe a $100,000 house. So it is that means of inflation that allows them to paper over the problem. And I think you could fast forward another 25 years, and you'll be talking about a $30 cup of coffee and a $150,000 car and $1 million house, and that'll be the standard.
That's the way it's headed.
Yeah. So in that environment, how far can they go? Well, I don't know. I mean, how far can they go? They can go pretty far, because I used to believe, well, at least we only have so many trees. They can only chop down so many trees and make so much paper before they're going to run out of one or the other. They're going to do it faster than they can produce the paper. But now they can just electronically create money.
Just type in zeros.
Yeah, and that really, does that suggest any limits?
No.
We, the recipients, we're willing to store our money on these little plastic cards, and so the merchant is willing to deduct as many zeros as he needs to. So I don't know that there are any practical limits. In post-World War I Germany, they had to call the money back and add some extra zeros to it. Here, they don't even have to do that. They just create more and put it into circulation, and it just homogenizes itself and dilutes the rest of the money supply.
Andy, stay right there. Don't go away. We got to take a pause in the action. We'll be right back with my guest, Andrew Goss, right here in the Scizone and Your Money Tonight. Back in the Scizone, Bill Bush, here's my guest, Andrew Goss. Andy, before I go any further, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Well, there are two ways. One way, of course, is you can call me on my 800 number. That's 800-468-2646. Or you can go to my website, AndyGause, GAUSE.com.
Can they order your books there too, Andy?
Yeah, I think those books are still around. You have them at Barnes & Noble. The Secret World of Money's from 1996.
But let me point out something. I pulled my copy out that he sent me in 1996. That is more relevant today than the day you wrote it.
Thanks, man. I'll tell you, it was written for today.
It is today's book. It really is.
Well, and so that's been around a good 11 years now. And then the other one, Uncle Sam Cooks the Books, that's from 2003. But I've seen copies of that here and there. So, yeah, you can find my books, Barnes & Noble or your favorite bookseller. If you have difficulty, though, check andygoss.com or call the 800-468-2646 number.
Somebody will help you tell you what to do. Andy, quick question for you. The people out there with a little money, if they diversify, I've always said stay out of the stock markets or just go on to Vegas and forget it.
Yeah.
The stock
if you
market.
want to gamble, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's an absolute gamble. And everybody's fooling with your money. Look at the people, Andy, that are losing their money and losing their ass. And I'm saying that politely. I don't mean to be loud about that.
That was polite.
But there's people out there that are heavy in these hedge funds. Their 401ks are in them.
Yeah, they don't even understand that they're invested in hedge funds.
And Andy, correct me if I'm wrong. There's absolutely no oversight on hedge funds. Is that correct?
None whatsoever. Yep, none whatsoever. In fact, it was the hedge funds that got us into this trouble just lately here.
So you and I could go start a hedge fund, and we'd be completely legal.
Yeah, and here's what we would do. You and I would put up $10 each.
Okay.
And so we'd have $20, and then we'd use that $20 as a down payment to buy $2,000 worth of stock. And this is what a hedge fund does. And then if the stock goes to zero, and now we owe $2,000 and we only had $40 up, why, then we holler to the Federal Reserve to give us a bailout.
Oh, okay. And they come along and say, here's your money back, guys. Good luck.
Now, the moment that they do that, they've offset a market force that would otherwise cause a depression. And that's what people have to understand, that each time one of those waves hits us, if Fed doesn't act, it takes down the system. So, and each time they do act, each time they let you and I put up $20 and borrow $2,000, they're allowing the creation of $1,980. And by standing good for it and then creating the $1,980, see, that money didn't exist before. We didn't have it.
Didn't have it.
But we lost it, so the thing to do is tell the other party, sorry, we can't pay and you're done. But no, if they allowed that to happen, then that would most certainly cause ripples through the community. So they bail us out, and in doing so, they put billions, in fact trillions of dollars in potential money sitting over our heads out there. That's the real fear.
And that's what we've got. And Nancy Pelosi, in her, God rest her, somebody got to take her, take her back. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But we got to pay for these Mexicans somehow.
Well, yeah. This is it. If you look at the Social Security Trust Fund, what they recognized as ever since the Greenspan Commission back in 1986 is that they have 85 million people retiring over the next 5 years. So that means they need to add 85 million people to the workforce. Where are they going to get them?
Well, we're going to let them come across the border in droves, bring all the disease that they got, and you know the story.
We're going to just kind of throw the borders of the United States open.
Wide open. Come on up.
Yeah,
hell, don't
then
worry about it.
For a while, we'll let you work off the books. The Social Security Administration has so many people working on bogus Social Security numbers, and they know who they are because they don't have legitimate accounts. And sometimes they have many, many people working on the same account. But they don't say anything. They just keep accepting those payments, 7.5% from the employer, 7.5% from the employee. And the more people do that, the more, they offset the deficit in the Social Security Trust Fund. So they let them work with phony Social Security numbers.
Right.
And I'm telling you, this is part of a plan. This isn't an accident. If you wonder why they don't crack down on border security, it has nothing to do with freedom and all of that. It has everything to do with the tax revenue that we get from an undocumented alien that's working with a phony Social Security number.
Well, if you had just promised all of the troops that if they re-up, we'd give them $50,000, and all of a sudden, or whatever the number that is, they're deciding, well, we're coming home now, and we want that money. We're going to get it somewhere. Andrew, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here with me.
Oh, it's great to be here, Bill. Nice to hear your voice.
I'll tell you what, brother, unless you and I stay in touch, we're going to take what we'll do, I want to have you back on a regular basis because you're more fun than I am.
Oh.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
You too, Bill.
Got you. And that was Andrew Goss. We'll take a pause in the action right here at the bottom of the hour. Be right back with more. Don't go away. We'll get to your phone calls in just a minute. Right here in the Scizone. I'm Bill Loach. Cheers. Stick around. Hey, I'm back. Glad you could join me. And if you're just joining us, Bill Boshears, the Scizone Channel 38. We're here every week, Saturday night at 11 o'clock. Don't forget, and by the way, if you missed part of it, you can pick it up on Google in Scizone, WBQC, or go to WBQC.com. You can click, all the archives are there. Something that we started a couple of weeks ago, we didn't have all of it in place. We got it now. Guys, could we put that first tape up, run that first tape? Remember I told you about the movie Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon? This is a little excerpt from, not that, but about that. And there's been some questions lately from the scientific community. Here we go.
Of the Apollo TV footage. There is no evidence at all of any astronaut making a leap or a jump anywhere near a height commensurate with 1/6G possibilities. But if they were actually simulating EVAs on Earth, they would then need help with their bulky heavyweight suits and backpacks in order to achieve the visual effect of moving around easily in lunar gravity. So enter wire supports. This is a tried and tested way of relieving weight from performers, or even flying an actor. Here's a sequence from one of our own productions.
Excuse me, will I need a car?
Of course, confirmation that wires were used is in the detail. Here in this Apollo 14 footage, you can see a ping, a momentary glint. And again, run slowly. And once more. There are other examples too. This one is from Apollo 17 during the flag scene. You can see the ping at the top of the frame. In this footage from Apollo 16, we have telltale evidence of a slightly floating or dangling effect at the jump salute location. It's as if the weight is being taken off the astronaut's feet just a second or so too soon. Compare that sequence with an obvious rehearsal rig. The dangling effect is very evident. And here again, from the same mission, Apollo 16, we have an astronaut who is about to get up.
Give me a hand. Okay, here we go.
Let me give you a hand, he says.
There goes bag. There goes another bag. Bag. Coming.
Look at it again. The astronaut is getting up with a wire taking the weight, relieving him of 5/6 of the Earth's gravity. A magic trick? No, just the help of a wireman. This is a slow-motion jump that would have been seen live on TV. And here it is at normal speed. The well-rehearsed, pre-recorded material was apparently slowed down by 50% when we saw it on TV.
See, it's all smoke and mirrors. And you people are going, but that cost a lot of money. And it did cost a hell of a lot of money. There's one more. I want to get this in. It's a short tape or a shortcut. It's only about 27 seconds. You're going to fall out of your chair on this one. When I saw it, I laughed for a week. Run that last moon thing. Run that. You're going to like this.
I'm going to step off the left now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap. So, I guess you want to do it again. Okay.
I guess you want to shoot that again. I guess you had to shoot it again. Now, all of this stuff comes together and you go, Bill, you're making this up. Bill, you're making this up. I'm just telling you what's out there. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Don't pay any attention to me. What do I know? I'm a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, right. Well, why are so many people looking at it and questioning it? Once you get into it and begin to see it, you'll ask some questions too. Let's go to Eric on line 2. Eric, you're there, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, how you doing, Mr. Brochure?
Doing well, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple comments and a question somewhat what you shared earlier in the show about Nancy Pelosi's agenda, basically.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that she was trying to basically use the 401k taxes and convert them over and give them to the illegal aliens, and then you mentioned also minorities.
I didn't mention unemployed minorities, yeah.
Unemployed minorities, right. Okay, well, is it true that the United States supports the state of Israel financially?
I have no idea. I know they give them grants, but there are certain banking communities that do that. I couldn't answer that and prove it in the court of law, but I understand you are correct. Go ahead.
Okay, and also, what I'm saying is, the idea is really about the money, gathering money from places that seem to be really of no real use to the United States. We have military bases still over in Europe, that are not strategically necessary. There are some that are absolutely strategically necessary, but a lot of them are there based on the Cold War. Okay, why are we still spending money in Europe? Why are we still trying to rebuild Japan or have an interest in Japan at the extent of, when we see that our country is going through such a financial, downfall, or is possibly headed for that? Why do we still allow this government as citizens? You know what I'm saying?
Because I can answer all this in one frame, because our citizenry is uninformed. It wouldn't act if you showed them how to act. They don't care. It's about me, mine, and me. It's not that I care where you and I come together and go, look, I'm going to vote this guy out. This is the way it's got to be. And until that happens, until we do one thing, we take our voice and our collective voice and we add it to our vote. Those three things our founding forefathers gave us. And if we don't use them, brother, we're headed for, it's all over. And it's all over if we don't do something about, and I was merely pointing out her. It's rampant through the Congress and the Senate. They'll spend money they don't even have. But you're on top of it. I'm glad you're there, brother.
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. Basically, when you said about the 85 million people retiring and a certain amount of years, I didn't catch the amount of years. However, and that the thing that Nancy Pelosi and some other bigwigs are trying to do is convert the taxes from the minority or the Mexican immigrants, illegal immigrants and everything, and do something with the Social Security aspect of it. I have an idea that I don't hear anyone speaking about, and that is a genuine effort in the rehabilitation of already existing American citizens that have fallen in the cracks of the judicial system, but are not, considered heinous. Their actions were not considered heinous, but minor offenses that just need that type of rehabilitation where they can enter into the job market and basically stop setting up barriers against them, such as misdemeanors that keep a person out of a basic warehousing job.
Okay.
And such.
I got to move on, but I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Great idea. We need to work on it. Thank you, sir. Let's go to a pause in the action right here. Be right back with your telephone call. One line open. Jump in. Right here in the Scizone. Hurry back. Back in the Scizone, Bill Boshears with you tonight. I'll try to get as many of your phone calls in. Let's first go to Kevin on line 3. Kevin, you're there, sir.
Yes, hello, Bill.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I just had one question.
Yeah.
Have we actually landed on the moon, or is that just a hoax?
As far as I'm concerned, it's a hoax. As far as I'm concerned, us going to the moon has way too many questions and fallibilities in it for it to have happened. Now, I know people going, oh, Bill, you can't mean that. I do mean that. If you look at the evidence, and please don't take my word for it, go do the research yourself, go look at the information, you decide. Don't let me be the deciding factor for it. You need to see this. Go to Google, take it up, and look at it.
All right.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Let's go to, I guess, Diane. Diane, are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, this is Diana.
Diana, what are you doing tonight?
Oh, just watching your show.
Well, all right.
I just whatever. Do you know whatever happened to the Kate and Richard show?
I have no idea, nor do I care. I have enough trouble doing this. You screeners better wake up in there. Who have I got? I got Don on line 2.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air, Don.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Phenomenal, working on the rest of it.
Well, I just really wanted to make a comment and then get your opinion. I went to a supermarket tonight, and I was in the customer service area.
Yeah.
There was a board up, and it had all these recalls of items that were made in China. And I watched a news program the other night, and there were elevated levels of lead found in our lipstick that ladies use.
I don't use it, but some of the guys in that commercial we saw earlier may. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, I'm wondering, is anything made in the U.S. anymore?
I can't find it. I'm having a hell of a hard time. I'm afraid to eat the meat on my plate. You know, if you go out and kill the chicken, you pull the feathers off of it, you might have something here.
You know, I'm afraid to buy anything for my nieces and nephews this Christmas time because I don't know what has lead in it, what's made in China.
Don't buy anything made in China. That's simple. Give them a box, an empty box that's made in the USA, and let them use their imagination.
Oh, my.
No, I'm joking, of course. Are there things out there? Somebody is going to make a fortune when they come out with a slogan that says, not made in China. Now, I'm saying this to you right now. You watch what happens. Somebody is going to get a toy made in Fumble Switch USA, and they're going to come out with it, and it's going to go, I want one of them.
I hope so.
I do hope so. I wish there is nothing that I can think of that you can buy that isn't made in China.
I mean, I went to the dollar store and bought some flip-flops, and they were made in China.
Everything is made in China.
Everything's made in China.
Now, the only problem with that is that we're running up a trade deficit with them. And interestingly enough, they're getting richer.
Right.
And we're getting poorer.
Right.
The reason they're getting richer is that we sent them all of our jobs.
Right. Well, actually, we're in like trillions of millions of dollars in debt with them, aren't we?
Absolutely. And we've been talking about it all night. That's where it's headed. If we don't curtail it, if we don't nip it in the bud and say, look, and your administration doesn't care. They don't care. They want to build a pipeline. That's all they want. That's all they want. It's all about big money, big numbers, and you don't matter. Toothpaste.
Honestly,
My God, toothpaste.
In my opinion, they're still our enemy. You know, I believe they're trying to kill us. You know, you hear about little kids,
You got that right.
strollers that they're making and the lead paint they're using on the Barbie dolls. They're trying to kill us. You know what I'm saying? I believe that that's the only reason why we haven't went up against North Korea yet is because of China.
Don't buy the junk. Don't buy it. Don't buy anything made in China. And go up to the management when you leave and say, I'm not buying any of this stuff made in China.
Absolutely.
It's the only way you're going to get it stopped. If you buy something in here made here, I'll be happy to buy it. Otherwise, I'm not buying this stuff.
Absolutely.
And you know that China had the audacity to tell us not to talk about it on television, that it would curtail the sales. Can you believe that they actually said that? It just makes you crazier. You just want to stab yourself in the head with a fork and say, go ahead, just screw me to the wall, put me somewhere and shoot me. It don't matter anymore.
But you know what? The Prime Minister of China, the president or whatever.
A drunk pervert.
Do you know he came over here and met with a businessman in Seattle before he was scheduled to meet with the president? He was doing business first and business with the president second, put the president off to meet with this businessman.
You bet your apples he did. And you know George Bush is looked down on like a, I didn't want to use this phrase. He is so under-tolerated by the rest of the world, he is a walking joke. The president, Vicente Fox, made a joke about him and has been telling it on every corner in his book, called him a windshield cowboy.
Yes, sir. I mean, you know, nobody is going to...
Nobody respects him. Hell, his old lady, his wife, don't like him. She's been sleeping at the hotel.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, it's a known fact. Anyway, I'm getting out of school here. I got to go to break. Thank you for being here tonight.
All right, thank you.
Join me every week right here.
All right.
Thank you, dear. Let's take that pause, the action. Everybody's screaming at me. Take a pause. We'll do it right here. Come right back. Hey, I'll try to get to all the phone calls we got lined up here. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're there, sir. Go ahead.
How you doing tonight, Bill?
Doing well, sir. Glad to have you aboard. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just got done reading Cosmic Voyage by Dr. Courtney Brown. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Okay, cool. It has to do with remote viewing.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Okay, good. They go through, or he goes through the military remote viewing and also the CIA.
Let me ask you this. Have you tried it?
Pardon me?
Have you tried it?
No. Actually, years ago, I did some astral projection, which is maybe, in my opinion, similar.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Years ago.
Years ago. Why did you stop?
A religious thing.
Whoa. You let your religion get in the way?
Not anymore, I don't believe.
There you go.
You know?
Why don't you try it again? Keep me posted of
what I called for was to ask your opinion about this.
Go ahead.
Remote viewing or astral projection, either way.
Either way, I accept them both. They're a facet of human ability. It is as real to me as my next breath. I do it, and I don't have a bit of problem with it. I think it's the greatest asset you can develop. I really do.
Yes, sir, I believe so, too.
Well, why don't you practice? Keep me posted on what happens, okay?
Well, could you explain a little bit more about it?
Explain more about it in the time that I got. Quickly.
Yes, sir.
I would tell you this. Pick a destination, pick a time and a place, and a time limit that you're going to spend there. Don't worry about a clock. It'll tell you, okay?
Yes.
And have a reason for going. Let's say you want to check on somebody or check on something. You can do a couple of things, and we'll do some experiments here on the air if you guys are really serious about this.
I'm very serious. Would you read Cosmic Voyage by Dr. Courtney Brown?
Will I read it?
Yes, sir.
I'll try. I'll try to get to it and get a copy of it and see if I can run through it. But I'll tell you, my own personal experiences with it,
yes.
I don't want to get into religious.
Not religious.
Yeah, or spiritual concepts, because in my opinion, they distort that whole creative process.
No, I didn't mean to go away from what Courtney Brown was saying, that this is a religious thing. It's not. He's totally remote viewing. It's not a religious thing, to him. And I just thought it might fit into the PSI zone.
It does. It does. I've got to go, brother. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go quickly to Craig. You're there, Greg.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can. Quickly.
I just got something to say, and I wanted to know if anybody else heard anything about this. Me and my wife recently bought a telescope, and it's a real big one, and it's a nice one. And do you remember when the Airbus plane was flying over Cincinnati recently?
No, I don't, but I can tell you of a UFO sighting today that happened north of 275, about 11:28 today. It was a white object, and I got reports on it here, and I happened to be on 275. I also saw it.
No kidding.
It was in plain, broad daylight.
No kidding.
It was unbelievable. I saw it, and I couldn't stop to take any pictures and have anything with me. That'll teach me a lesson to carry my camera in the car with me. Anyway, I got to run. I'm out of time, but we'll be here next week. You join me, please.
Oh, man, I got a story to tell you wouldn't believe.
I can't wait. Give it to me next week. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Gotcha. They're out there. Trust me. I saw one today. I'm Bill Boshears. We're here every Saturday night. More time, more space. We're going to do that later. But you're a part of it. Remember, everything we talk about pertains to you. This is the only place I know of in the entire television market that you can get a live call-in talk show and be a part of it. You're it. You're what it's all about. I'm Bill Boshears. This is the Scizone, right here on Channel 38. Join me next week, 11 o'clock Eastern.